Justin Trudeau had become very unpopular as a prime minister for all sorts of reasons. One reason is just his government is approaching the 10-year mark, and it's actually at the 9-year mark. And that's when people start to get tired of the government. They do want to see a change. But on top of that, it was felt that he wasn't sensitive to concerns that the average person felt. So the cost of food, inflation, the cost of gas, the problems with the border, crime going up in cities. So he went to the Governor General and he asked her for prorogation, which means that he's going to suspend Parliament, and that will continue until March 24th. The average time for a prorogation is usually about 22 days. So this is a very long time for the Parliament to be suspended. It means that the government will be operating without a legislative watchdog in place to see what the government's doing and to demand answers from the government. And this is very important at a time when you have a president like Donald Trump coming in who is talking about imposing tariffs on Canada, and Canada needs to prepare to deal with questions of border security and how we're going to respond to a new regime in the United States. It gives the Prime Minister license to operate essentially in the dark right now. If an election had been called today, the Conservatives would have won a clear majority. There were questions about how far the Liberals would actually fall under the leadership of Prime Minister Trudeau. I heard one speculation that was as low as 4 seats. That is incredibly low and would be a historic low for the Liberals in Canada. So I'm not sure about that. With an election being called in March, the Conservatives still have a 20-point lead in the polls, and they still look like they would form the next government, because I don't think even a new leader of the Liberals could change the fortunes of the Liberals that much at this point. The relationship with the United States is one of the key architects of any future for Canada. We believe in the United States as our strongest ally, a country that we need going forward and that we want to work with because we have so many common interests, and really our interests align on so many different levels, from border to crime to energy and the environment. So we do see that relationship as critical, and we see building a good relationship with President Trump as being very important. The Premier of Ontario, for example, came out today immediately after the resignation of Justin Trudeau and said, we have to respond to the United States with strength, but also with an invitation to work together on these types of measures. And it's almost as though the Premier of Ontario is basically occupying the space the Prime Minister would, because right now the Prime Minister is weakened by what has happened and his word doesn't carry the same weight. Justin Trudeau does not have the strength that his father did as Prime Minister. That's for sure, Pierre Trudeau, in the 70s and into the 80s. He has been a terrific communicator for the most part. He's made a lot of promises, but his delivery has been weak. So I think that he won't be remembered as one of our strongest prime ministers, but he will be remembered as someone who is committed to moving Canada forward in this century.